Hi, everyone. I always love doing these new features webinars. It's fun to just kind of get together with a smaller group and keep kind of informal, just nice, relaxing atmosphere. But yeah, my name's Emily Shoddick. I also have a library degree and have been with APA for a few years now and work with customer engagement and do training and support specifically on academic writers. So happy to see everyone. I thought maybe if you want to just drop in the chat where you are calling in from. I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota, and maybe your institution would be interesting to know also. But yeah, and then I started the recording, so we will have a recording of this session. We'll probably post it on our YouTube page as long as it goes well. I'm sure it
Yeah.
will. But we'll probably post it on our YouTube page and then we'll also share after the session. So we'll have that recording. And otherwise, Jana, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Uh, so briefly, my section is very brief. Emily's going to take the majority of everything and show you the most exciting part. But I did want to take a second and let you know that we are going to be running some semester-based student webinars that will be promoted um, on the platform. So these will start towards the end of September. Our first, or actually middle of September, our first banner will be posted, I think, around the 4th of September. And we've revised these a little bit to talk a little bit more about APA style and how academic writer can help students with APA style. So like our orientation webinar, we want to talk a little bit more about um, why you use APA style and then how you can answer your questions about APA style in academic writer, as well as kind of orienting students to the platform. We also have a very exciting webinar. It's our first one. It's a combination webinar with um, psych info. So it's combining academic writer and APA psych info for research. Emily and our colleague Patty Avalana are going to be conducting that session. And we're very excited because it's kind of the stuff that we never get to talk about because we don't have time to talk about it in any other session. So I'll be sending along a link for that, but I'm also going to drop it in the chat so you can take a look at the registration page. We are very excited about these, so feel free to let anybody know. And again, we're going to have some links posted in Academic Writer. Students find their way there, and we usually get some good registration numbers. But if you have any questions about them, just feel free to email us and ask away. How long did I take, Emily? I'm pretty sure I saved you more than enough time.
You're great. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to be doing some demo in the product, and then we do have plenty of time saved for questions today, I think. If we even really fill the whole 45 minutes, we'll see. Of course, if you have any questions, we love to address them here today in the webinar. But yeah, we're just excited. So this is our new features. We do this webinar, what, about twice a year, I think? So typically we will cover some brand new features, new-ish features, or some features that maybe aren't so super new, but maybe new to you. So some kind of features that maybe we don't get to cover a lot in trainings and things like that. But today we are covering a super new feature that just was released within the last few weeks. So super new. You may have seen an announcement in the banner within Academic Writer if you've been in there, but we are just going to talk about this one feature. So this is a one feature webinar. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Give me just a second. So yeah, I know I'm kind of like leading up to this feature. So this feature has, of course, been requested for quite a few years now. And this is, we're going to focus entirely on the Learning Center. So we have some updates there. So this feature is so that so students can actually track their progress in Learning Center lessons that they complete. So they can track their progress and they can also get proof of completion. So we've heard this for quite a few years from librarians, from instructors, that students would take these lessons in the Learning Center, but they didn't really have a great way to prove or show that they actually completed the lessons. Or if an instructor wants to assign those lessons for points, for credit, it was difficult for the students to actually prove that they did them and receive those points or credit. So our developers have worked quite hard on creating this, making this a reality. So we're excited to share all about how this works today. Okay, so we are just going to focus on the Learning Center. I do want to point out, gotta move a few things around. There we go. So up here in my file cabinet, so you know that this is where students can access their kind of their personal work, things that they're working on, like their references, their papers. So now they can also access my lessons. So that's what we're calling, the lessons that you have been working on or completed. They're all going to show up collected together in my lessons. So you can jump to those lessons with the file cabinet. You do have to be logged into your account, of course, for it to track that progress and your work within the lessons. So then once you click on the Learning Center tab here, it looks a little different. This page used to show us, we had our quick guides, tutorials, samples, kind of linked there with a general overview. But now, instead of that, you have the option to go to My Lessons. So that's your collection of lessons you're working on, or you can browse the lessons and samples. So this is how you would get to just generally browsing the Learning Center. So let's just look at the Learning Center first. And I want to show you how this looks, pretty much the same, but we do have, it's going to drop us right into all of the lessons. So up to 344 of those now showing in this full tab. So right off the bat, you can access all of the lessons. So quite a few to scroll through there, but you can narrow it down. You can go directly to just the quick guides here, all in one tab, and our tutorials. So 21 of those. Also within here, I tend to like to use this view so it's over here in the top right corner. So we have the list view and these like tile view. So you can see the image associated with the lesson. It just kind of presents like an easier way to kind of browse through them, get some visuals. So I do like scrolling through them in that way. Also want to mention you can still add lessons to your favorites. So that has not changed. You can still click the star so that those items will show up in your My Favorites tab, or also in your My Favorites under the file cabinet over there. So you can kind of create your like personal learning library of favorite items. Okay, so let's actually go into one of these quick guides. I'm going to go back to my list. The topics have remained the same. We haven't added a great deal of new topics very recently. The most recent are probably the fundamental writing skills. So those that you'd see would be the newest additions to the actual content. But let's just pull up one of these lessons and I'll show you just essentially how it looks the same, but there are some additions. So this is a brand new lesson. I have not touched this one yet. I haven't worked on it, so no progress has been tracked. So this all looks the same. We still go into the lesson. The first thing that you see is this outline overviewing the what's going to be covered within the lesson. And then you can click Start Learning, and this is going to actually launch you into the lesson. So at this point now, once I've started it, it's going to track and save my progress within my account. And I'll show you in just a minute where you can view that progress. But just like before, so these, haven't changed. You still advance through the content, work through it at your own pace. Nothing is timed. You would just read and absorb the information. So we still have the quick guides, or I'm sorry, the knowledge checks is what I want to say. So knowledge checks within both the quick guides and the tutorials, those haven't changed. But you do have to complete those. You have to complete all of the items in order to gain that 100% completion within the lesson. So you can see up here in the top left how it tracks your percentage complete. So you do have to complete the knowledge check. Those are like our practice quizzes. So it's formative practice self-assessment. So students can take those kind of like as a pre-test, pre-quiz, or an actual quiz, which is now built in to each lesson. So each lesson has a quiz at the end, and this quiz is more for mastery. So this one actually is graded, so you can get a percentage grade feedback on this quiz. So it has, some weight to it. It's worth something for the students, and they can also get a certificate, get that proof of completion that will also show the score that they received on the quiz. So just the quiz. The knowledge check is just for practice. It is not scored. And with the knowledge check, you will also get immediate feedback on your correct or incorrect responses. So let me now, we'll focus into each of these so we can look at them. So this knowledge check, the topic, alphabetizing the reference list. So I want to mention just another thing with this before we do jump into this. Students really do have to work through the content of the lessons and spend some time with it and absorb it. I would say it's not, just like a simple direct quiz at the end. So I would always, if students are using this, to make sure to enforce that they are spending time with the content here and not to just assume that the quiz is going to be super easy, or that they wouldn't have to actually kind of engage with the content before taking the quiz. So I'll just say that, it's not just going to be like a super straightforward, simple quiz. They are going to challenge the students a bit. And I think that that's good. It gives them, it gives the quizzes some more weight to them. Okay, so the knowledge check, let's go ahead and start this one. We'll just take a look at it. I'm not gonna probably go through these for real, put me on the spot and test my knowledge of APA style, but we'll just kind of show how these essentially work. The knowledge checks, we've got 5 questions. Some of them are multi-answer, and some of them are just multiple choice with one specific answer. But we'll just hit submit, and it's going to tell me right away that this was incorrect, this response, and it's going to check mark next to the responses that are correct. So I was just missing out on a couple more of these correct answers. And then we can go to the next one. And just remember, these knowledge checks, they're not scored, they're just for practice. Just gonna go through, and I got incorrect again. It tells me which is the correct answer. So I do get that kind of that immediate feedback on these knowledge checks, so I can know what is correct, what is incorrect. Okay, and keep going through this. And essentially, once you finish the knowledge check, and you do have to complete the whole thing before you can get 100% completion for the full lesson. So, and I do think there's great visual, cues to that. I can see this kind of circle that hasn't become, complete yet. And I can see exactly where I stand with each section that has been checkmarked. Okay, so then let me go over and we'll take a look at the quiz. So the knowledge check I didn't quite complete, but I can see I'm at 60% completed. And then the quiz here. So with these, users have 3 attempts to take these quizzes. And if they take it one time and they don't do so well on the quiz, they're not happy with their score, with their percentage, they can retake it, and Academic Writer is going to save the highest score achieved. So we limit it to those 3 attempts, just kind of another way to give these more weight to them. So I would say if there's ever a situation where a student, needs to take the quiz again, if they need more than 3 attempts, and there's not like a problem around that with an instructor or anything like that, they should just reach out to us. It's not like a big deal. They shouldn't feel, stressed or panicked about that. I believe our developers can allow for more attempts. So students shouldn't be, too stressed about that. But we hope that this giving them 3 attempts does kind of make it give more weight to the quiz and more importance. So they'll have 3 attempts, but it's going to retain the highest score. Okay, so let's go into this quiz. The quizzes with the quick guides have 5 questions. So 5 questions in the knowledge check, and then 5 questions in the quiz. And then the tutorials, since those are quite a bit longer, the quizzes there are longer and they have 10 questions. So 5 with the quick guides and 10 with the tutorials. Okay, so then another thing I want to mention with the quiz is that you do not have to pass the quiz. So passing the quiz would be 80%, but you do not have to pass the quiz in order to achieve 100% completion. You just have to do the quiz. So you will have a score on your proof of completion certificate. So you can, turn in that score to an instructor, but you can still gain 100% completion and receive that certificate. I think that's everything I wanted to mention, oh, with the quiz also, another way that we are kind of giving these more importance, more weight to them, is that students will not actually see immediate feedback on these quizzes. So, the answers won't just all be out there to share and to repeat, excuse me, to repeat. Um, and then with these also, the questions are randomized. So if they go to take the quiz to retake it, um, the questions will be in different order. So, it mixes them up. So it's not the exact same quiz that they're taking again.
We had a great question in the chat.
Yes. Yes, let's hear it.
So Ramon asked, will the admin for the account ever be able to override the number of attempts? And right now, the answer is no.
Yeah.
If you want to reset the number of attempts, you would have to contact the support team. And we can go ahead and do that for you. But I did write that down because that's a great suggestion.
0. Yeah.
Hero, no,
Yeah.
they're hard.
They are, I didn't try on that one. I just wanted to show, what you see at the end of the quiz. I did use up one of my attempts there, of course, to get 0%, which is sad. But I just wanted to show you, once you do finish the quiz, it's going to show you your score here. I got 0%, but it shows you passing is 80%. And if you reach that, and then you have the option right here to start and take it again. So you do get that, but it doesn't give you all of the answers at the end, of course, so you can retake it and still kind of have that weighted, more important to it quiz that can be turned in.
We had another
Um,
good question.
yeah, let's,
Under the Learn More on the left-hand side and at the top of the screen,
oh
we're
yeah,
linking to a screenshot of the publication manual. So I know you don't offer like a site license for the pub manual, but in this case, an academic writer, we try to include contextual screenshots of the publication manual for students who are working through the content. So if you click into it, it's literally just that section. You can't navigate out of it, but it does help add context to the lesson itself for students who want to read more. I just thought I would kind of mention that because that was a question that popped up.
yeah, of course, yeah. So yeah, not cover to cover access of the publication manual, but just those specific pages, but still can be very helpful there. Okay. So then I think just want to show also with the tutorials. So if I open up one of these, um, let's just open plagiarism and start learning here. So remember I said once you start learning, it's going to start tracking. So you open up and start advancing through the content, and it's immediately going to start tracking your progress. I just wanted to mention with these tutorials that the knowledge checks are spread throughout, and there's a few more of them. So I think we think of them as like those speed bump knowledge checks. So you complete a few sections of the content, and then you would take a knowledge check, while that is fresh. So kind of breaks up these longer lessons here. So this one has our knowledge check 1, and then we'll complete more, and then we'll have our knowledge check 2, and then the quiz at the end. And these tutorials are pretty, I would say they take a chunk of time. Students work at their own pace, but they are longer than the quick guides. I would say probably take about 40 minutes roughly. And they go into more depth. So more content to cover, and the extra knowledge checks in there also. And then I wanted to show, so that is how students would complete the lessons with their knowledge checks and quizzes included. And then they can actually track and view their progress if they go to My Lessons. So up in the top right, like I mentioned, the My File cabinet, you can get to My Lessons here. Or if you are in the Learning Center, the main landing page of the Learning Center, you can click on Go to My Lessons here. So when you click on that, you get this kind of report page. So I can see every lesson that I have started. So even though, this avoiding plagiarism, I just launched it and barely started working on it, it's already tracking my progress. So I can see the progress percentage here. Once I reach 100% completion in that progress, that is when I'm able to export a certificate. So if I have not reached 100, I can't get that certificate yet. I have to complete the whole thing first. So to get that certificate, I would just check the box. Let me do this one actually, citing references. So just check the box next to the lesson I want to export a certificate. This one has 100%. And then I would just click export to certificate. Give it a second. And it's here. It's a PDF. And it's branded with academic writer, tells me it's a certificate of lesson completion and has my full name. You can, if I were to check multiple boxes in that list, so if I had multiple, I could export them in one time. So does that make sense? So I could put multiple on one certificate. But this one just has one lesson. It tells me how many. It has the email address associated with my account. And then so that kind of helps with accountability. It has to be directly from my account. And then it also tells me the date that it was completed and the date I took the quiz and the score that I achieved on the quiz. So it's 2 pages, certificate there. And then, once students have this PDF, it's up to the instructor how they would want to use this if they wanted to like create an assignment, turn it in box for in their LMS, like in Blackboard or Canvas, they could do that, and then students could submit this PDF to that. It's kind of however they want to use this, whatever works best for them, but they have this like solid proof and tracking of the progress and what they achieved. So then we have back to this kind of tracking page. We have the date that the lesson was completed, and we also can see how many quiz attempts we have. So with these, I only have 1 out of 3 that I've used. If like we said, if you ever do meet that limit, that max 3 out of 3 used, and you just, you really need to retake it again, like tell students not to panic, you can contact our support page. I can point that out real quick just in case, just a quick refresher. So under the welcome in the Academic Writer homepage, you can just go to Site Help, and then this is our knowledge base. And then if they need to contact us directly, on the right side, it's just contact Academic Writer support. So that creates an email form. It comes directly to our team so that we can help with that. But hopefully 3 attempts is a good amount. If you are hearing feedback from students or instructors about that amount, and it's not working for people, we would love to hear that. We would honestly love to hear any feedback that you have about these new features and how it's working, things that are not maybe working so well. We do take them directly to our developers, and I'm sure you've seen quite a few features that we do add and improve are directly from user feedback. So very valuable to us. So we have the quiz attempts there, how many used, and then the quiz score. So this one I got my 0 on, but it's got my quiz score there and the date I took the quiz. So lots of information, and then I can see exactly which ones are still in progress if I click there, and which are completed. So really helpful for tracking. I know that we just heard for a while from students, they had no record of what they had already completed or what they started. It wouldn't even save your progress. So if you had started a lesson before and had to go cook dinner or something, you would have to lose all of that progress. And so I think this is a really great improvement and much needed, because not everyone has the 45 minutes to sit down and complete a whole tutorial in one sitting. So now you can get up and go cook dinner or whatever and come back and finish the rest. So
We had another great question
yeah,
before we
let's
do
hear it.
the food.
I think this is a good point to
Yeah.
just open up any questions or even feedback. So yeah, what do you have?
So I I I answered this. The request can come from anyone, but Beth asked if the reset request is limited to faculty or admin, or can students send that in? I imagine anybody could send it in. We haven't had any yet, so I don't know that we had a policy on it. So I think if students do want to request that, they should submit it, and then we can kind of base our policy around like how many requests are we getting? Is
Hmm.
this an exorbitant amount? Do we need
Hmm.
to rethink that? Um, and one thing I thought was important is the quiz score will always be your highest attempt. So if you take it and you got like 60%, it'll always keep your 80%. So you'll always get that higher score. And then someone else asked about the LMS integration options. So we do offer an LTI integration with like Canvas, Blackboard, Brightspace, and that allows you to include links to specific lessons in Academic Writer. But because you're building them as a web link, you would have to build like another assignment for the upload process for students to submit that file, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not an LMS expert. There might be another way to do it, but you would want to have some way to assign points to that.
right. Yeah, you're right.
Any questions? Like we've had some great questions so far. Feel
Yeah, really
free.
good.
Impressions? What do you think? Is this good? Do you want to use it? Oh, good. I'm glad. Beth is thinking her faculty is going to be really excited about this. Um, I just love that you can go back to something and resume learning. I think saving that progress is huge for us. Because it is just so frustrating to have to tell people, sorry, you're just gonna have to redo the whole thing.
I know. I know. Now there's that solid, concrete proof that work was completed. So,
Yeah. And no more screenshots.
yeah. Any other questions from the chat or anything? I can also, if anyone wants me to demo anything else, I can do that also.
Oh, great. Yeah. Someone else is saying that one of their instructors requires the basics of AP style. So rather than a screenshot, they can just
Mhm.
submit the certificate. So a tiny bit more official.
Yes. I did want to mention also, um, if you have a lesson, just like I clicked on here that I hadn't completed, it does save your spot also. So if I go to my lessons and click on this basic paper setup that I hadn't completed, I can click instead of start learning, it's going to say resume learning, and it yeah, it takes me to where I left off. So it drops you right back in where you were, which is nice. You don't have to go, scrolling and finding your spot. So,
And the quizzes, like I've gone through a few of them, and I mean, you have to read the content of the quick guide or the tutorial to be able to answer the questions. Like it's, but you also have to be able to synthesize what you've read and be able to answer questions based on that. So it's not just like, oh, what section was that in? They're going to ask questions that are going to ask the students to be able to synthesize what they've learned and apply that to a question. Um, but we do really, really want to hear as much feedback as you can give us. So if you're going through the content yourself or if you're hearing from students, please reach out to us. We've already had one librarian reach out several times about some of the content. So it's been very helpful.
okay.
I can't
Um,
believe we filled all that time, Emily.
I know, I can't either. There's quite a few details to go through. If later on, if you're working through this, of course, let us know if questions or issues come up. But if there aren't any others now, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that it really helps instructors um, get the semester off to a great start.
What is the best video to share to introduce students to academic writer? Oh, that is a great question. So we do have a YouTube channel that you can use that has several recorded orientations for the students. Let me see how quickly I can pull up the link. I should have thought of that ahead of time. Um,
Oh, the YouTube page?
yeah,
I can get it,
okay.
I think.
Um, we have several of the recorded webinars, but we're also have a couple of shorter video content on how to do specific things in academic writer. So, and we're going to expand on those based on the survey I sent out. I don't know if anybody in this session completed the survey, but it was super helpful. And based on the results, we find that students are probably going to want more video content.
Hmm.
So we're going to work on expanding that.
So in the footer, I'll show you where
Oh,
to get
perfect.
this first, and then we can also drop the link. But in the footer of every page on Academic Writer, if you click the YouTube icon, it'll take you directly to our page. And we have some in-depth trainings, webinar recordings. We have one that's, focused just on the reference center, so just dealing with references. Um, yeah, so that's there. I'll drop this in the chat.
Oh, I just did.
Oh, you did. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I totally forgot about the footer.
Yeah, it's handy.
It is handy.
All right. We can hang out for a little bit if anyone has any more questions, but otherwise, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you all have a great semester.